Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. Oh boy. So, I debated whether to talk about this, but I'm going to because it is a part of my life. It's not a part of my life, it's the whole of my life. Tonight, we're going to talk about loving the world or do not love the world. Let me start off with a few things, folks. Let me start off with a few things. I went to church yesterday, Sunday, and the pastor had a very good sermon. We're going to pick some of this stuff apart. But let's start in the Bible. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, starting with verse 14. Do not be bound together with unbelievers, for what partnership have righteousness and lawlessness, or what fellowship is light with darkness? Excuse me. Or what harmony has Christ with Belial, or what has a believer in common with an unbeliever? Or what arrangement has the temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of the living God, just as God has said. I will dwell in them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Therefore come out from their midst and be separate, says the Lord, and do not touch what is unclean, and I will welcome you. And I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters to me, says the Lord Almighty. Let me stop right there. That's pretty clear cut. You can't get around that. Let me say a couple things before I get going. I don't love the world. I've tried to. Now, everybody says, oh, but you love Hong Kong and you love travel. Of course I do. But when I say I love certain things, I'm going to define the world, not as the geographical ball that God created called terra firma, this sphere with oceans and mountains. Of course I love that. That's God's creation. When we talk about the world, we talk about the systems, the evolutionary teaching, the false religions, the God-denying, the secular, materialistic, man is an end to his own self belief system. I don't love that at all. I have repudiated materialism in my personal life. I want nothing to do with it. I have no interest in evolution. I have no interest in the secular philosophies. But I'm going to get to something. Same church yesterday. Pastor recommended a little paper, both sides printed out. Some guy did a review. I find this interesting, by the way. He downed all these shows, but he felt that he needed to take it upon himself to watch all these shows that he considered inappropriate so he could rate them. Stuff like the Hawaii Five-0, and I can't even remember the other one, Moms, and a bunch of different shows. I was going to read it on here because I thought it would actually be something good. Right out of the gate, the first paragraph, the guy was self-righteous as all get out. He was saying that we're not even going to talk about pornography because all of us clearly understand that no true child of God would even look at this stuff. I'm like, are we serious? Is he one of those that believes that Christians don't commit adultery and Christians don't partake in homosexuality or just a host of things? I'm going to say something very pointed. It's funny how materialistic and worldly Christians are, even in the church I go to. They're very caught up in their 401ks and preserving, making their own little lifeboat so they can preserve them and their family, and they don't care about anybody else, and that's godly. But they don't look at porn. Okay. I'm not even going to touch that one. But let's go on. Let's go on for the sake of argument. I have to look at my notes here from the sermon yesterday. Let's see. We already did that one, so we go to the next issue. What was it? We've got James. James 4:4. James chapter 4, verse 4. You adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility toward God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Or do you think that the Scripture speaks to no purpose? He jealously desires the Spirit which He has made to dwell in us. I want to stop right there. Let me tell you what I've observed. In this sermon, again, moral purity is brought up. But I've heard the same pastor preach sermons trying to encourage, coax, even chastise his own congregation for failing to witness. Let's talk about how Christians born and raised in Christian homes are very worldly. Let's nail them right between the eyes, because they don't get convicted in most sermons today. Do we agree? Most church people just don't get convicted because they don't see their own sin. They see everybody else's. Let me tell you how I can say that most of today's cultural, Christian, evangelical, Bible-believing, teaching churches, how I can prove to you that most Christians are loving the world. First, I said that they're preserving their own little, making their own little lifeboat, 401k, buying their houses, getting in debt for houses, SUVs, etc. That whole thing, and I'm going to say something, the whole debt thing to me is totally of the world. That is not godly at all. And I know many of you are going to say to me, Pacific, this is ridiculous. You have to have a mortgage to buy a house. No, you don't. Where does it say that in the Bible? Yes, if you want to buy a house that's more than you can afford and you don't have the money and you're too impatient to trust God, wait on God, and really listen to Him, then you go get a mortgage. But is that His will? Pacific explicitly believes that it is not God's will for us to be getting into debt. I really believe that. But let me go on. That Christians have to be told to witness is very damning of how worldly, even church goers, I was raised in a Christian home mentality people. Why are you afraid to witness? Because of fear. Peer pressure? The world? Wait a minute. If you really love God, then what is your problem? You should be boldly standing up for Christ. Pacific, who isn't even accepted by a lot of the people in most churches, he's very vocal and bold about his witness, and people are affected by what I say. In fact, praise be to God's name that He has used me to reach at least 4 people for true, lasting conversions to Christ Jesus, in spite of my fallen, broken humanity. Imagine that. By the way, I wasn't raised in a Christian home, and I wasn't born a Christian, as some people claim. We're going to get somewhere. Oh, I forgot to deal with that. Do born-again Christians sin? Oh my gosh. You think? Of course they do. But let's find this other one here. 1 John 2:15 through 16. 1 John 2:15 through 16. Do not love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away, and also its lust, but the one who does the will of God abides forever. Okay, I told you about Hong Kong. I loved Hong Kong, and I still do. But as I spent time there, I looked at all those big, impressive buildings. I looked at all these dressed-up office ladies, dressed-up suits and tie Chinese men. I saw no joy, no happiness, and because God is good, He revealed to me, and when I say revealed to me, I didn't have a vision, but He impressed upon me to think deeper and said, is this system really glorifying to God? All these big, beautiful skyscrapers, is God impressed with that? Does God look down and go, wow, that's really cool, man? I don't believe that. I'd say that most of those buildings were built with greed in mind and people making money, and they're not thinking of God. Do they provide offices? Do they provide housing? Yes. Are the buildings evil? No. But to me, a city signifies rebellion against God. Cain went and builded cities. I still think back, we had the Garden of Eden, and we traded that for Hong Kong, for LA, for New York. Crime, traffic, smog, cement, pain and suffering in those cities that doesn't even make the nightly news and nobody cares. You think that pleases a holy God? I don't. But He said some good things. Christians are supposed to live a separated life, and what that means is that we are not supposed to copy, imitate, and act like the world. That's why I'm down on Christian rock music in the church. It has no place in there. We need to be separated from the world and the secular culture. And I notice this at work. You know, oftentimes I talk about I can't get a date, I can't do this, but I'm looking at this on a secular level only, and I'm failing to tell my viewers one of the reasons a lot of people will not date me is not just because of all the things I talk about, feminism and stuff. It's because the day that we're living in right now, the stakes are higher. Have you believers noticed that? That there's a big gap forming. That distance is getting wider and wider between true committed Christians and the lost. And the lost don't feel comfortable around us at all. You can go back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you could hang out with unbelievers and everything's cool. And you could probably do that now, but I'm noticing it's getting harder to. A lot of people in the break room don't fraternize with me. I find it interesting that those that claim to be Christians, and I don't see any evidence of salvation or fruit in their life whatsoever, they are stuck up and they act just like the worldly people that I work with, and I go, wow, how does that work? We've got all kinds of Christians today, and we got a lot of people thinking that they're Christians, that they're going to be in for a rude awakening. But he talked about Exodus chapter 5, when Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh, said, "Thus saith the Lord, let my people go." Pharaoh says, "Who is the Lord that I shall obey him?" No. And the pastor said that Egypt symbolized the world, Pharaoh symbolized Satan. And I thought that's not reaching, that's good. The pastor's sermon was spot on. I didn't disagree with any of it. I talked to my lady friend as we took a walk down to the Platte River on my break today. We enjoyed the sun, and we really talked about Christianity. And I'm going to talk about my viewers in a minute, too, because she's going through the same thing. Her father's an ordained minister, and I really respect her father. He's a trainer at work, a very straight-up guy. He really tries to live what he believes. We were talking about, I said, you know, we're not supposed to date unbelievers, and I agree with that, but I said to her, "Ma'am, do you notice when you go to church?" And I said, "You're pretty smart. You and I are talking, so I'm just going to throw this out there." I said, "Have you seen the state of today's women in this culture?" She threw her head back and laughed. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "And then when you go to church, it's even more slim pickings in there." And I said, and I started on a roll. I said, "Yeah, you got Sally self-righteous spinsters for Jesus that haven't been married, and they're in their 40s, and they're stuck up." And she laughed. She goes, "Man, I appreciate your honesty." Drop-dead, gorgeous white woman, long hair, who doesn't have the attitude and thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. And she's a Christian. We talked about dating sites. I told her a little bit more about my channel. We had harmony. And I told her, I said, "I cannot believe what I'm coming up against." I said, "I was married for 14 years. I got out of that in 2007. I said, I got involved with a woman in Hong Kong. I said, I come back to Denver thinking, surely it'll be easy to find a date, right? There's a whole city." She shook her head and she goes, "Oh no, the dynamic has changed." We were talking with this conversation in the break room. One of the other women overheard us and she goes, "Oh no, honey, it's about show me your checking account number and show me how much you got in it. That's the way dates work today with women." And I said, "Yep, you're right." And I looked at her today when we were talking at the waterfront, and I said, "Have you noticed things are getting worse?" She goes, "Oh, yes." She's very positive, very upbeat, full of life. And I said, "You know, I can tell that the light of God is on in your eyes." She goes, "Well, thank you." And I said, "Are you able to sense that around?" She goes, "To be honest with you, Pacific, sometimes I can't tell the Christians between the non-Christians." I said, "Yeah, I know." I enjoy her company. She said, my husband and I are going to go hiking Sunday, and I told him about you, and we'd like to have you come with us. She goes, I actually consider you a friend. It was interesting talking to her because she said to me, we were talking, I said, you're really well adjusted. And I asked her about her married life, and she said, I do love him. She goes, I would never cheat on him. I have no interest in doing that. But wait a minute. I was told in the church you can't be friends with a married woman. I said you shouldn't hang out with a married woman. Funny thing is, we're not going off in shady places. We're walking publicly down the sidewalk, along the trail and the river. She said, we ought to get some people out of the break room in there. And I said, yeah, if you get them off their butts. I said, I doubt you're going to be able to do that. But the idea is great. I'm learning a lot through this gal. I'm learning a lot by going to church. And this pastor is a very good preacher. He's a very good preacher. He has a very good grip on the Word of God, and I need that. So I'm sitting there thinking about abandoning ship and leaving that church, and I'm going, no, I'm going to have to continue to just tune out the people and try to get something out of the teaching and just shut it all out. I shared with her some of my views, about how men get so beat up for lust and this and that. And I said, it just isn't right. I said, women aren't convicted in church at all. She said, I stopped going to church because I think church goes about it the wrong way. She said, everybody feels bad about themselves and they're made to feel guilty and you can't do this and you can't do that and you're failing at this. And she said, I know that there are things that the Bible talks about that are harmful to us. She goes, I know adultery's wrong. I know all this stuff's wrong. But she said at the same time, preachers aren't telling the church what they need to hear. You've been made accepted through the blood of Christ. There's nothing you can do to please God. Yes, you need to be obedient, but so many churches are taught that if you're not obedient, you're not pleasing to God. And she says, we're already pleasing to God because we're in the blood of Jesus Christ. She's right. And I told a woman this week at church, the one who invited me for Thanksgiving to her and her husband, she said to me, how you doing? I said, good. And I just said, I've been struggling this week. I said, there's people that are in my Sunday school class, they wanted to say hi to me. I said, there's a coldness in here and I cannot stand it. And I told her I have a YouTube channel, and I said, if this church were to watch this YouTube channel, they'd probably ask me to leave the church. She goes, oh boy. She goes, you got a channel that you actually maintain? I said, yeah. I said, I talk about a lot of controversial issues and stuff, and I said, stuff that really needs to be spoken right in this church to these people. And I said, I know I'm not perfect, and I don't dress up, and I don't play dress up, but I said, there are times when I wonder what I'm doing in here, because I said, I don't feel the warmth. And I said, there just seems to be a lot of self-righteousness in here. And she smiled and she goes, Pacific, some people just know how to hide it well. But she said, I don't think these people have it all together either. And I had to cowboy up and say, where are you going to go? You going to go to First Freaky Church down the road? Or, and I'm not interested. I'm tired of jumping around. And I am getting good teaching out of this church. I don't love the world system. I don't love the philosophies of the world. I don't like this rampant materialism. I really don't like this obsession with SUVs. That, to me, is the height of an immature nation. I look at these retarded Xteras, Range Rovers, Land Rovers, all these different butt-end looking SUVs, the Lexus Audis and the big Chevy with the big butt end that needs a crack down the middle to define it more as a butt. And I look at the obsession that Americans have with these stupid, ugly looking vehicles. Silver color, white color, beige, puke green. no pizzazzy colors, no originality or style to them. And people are spending $50,000, $60,000 for these, and I'm thinking our culture is so utterly immature. The Xterra has got to be the most retarded looking vehicle I've ever seen. And people think that this is the definition of cool. That is a world system. Marketing. You've got to have this or you're nobody. And it has been very effective. And I look at my pickup, and I went down the street the other day and saw a perfect mint condition 65 Ford pickup, and the guy just put a tarp over it because weather's coming, and I thought, what a beautiful truck. That had character, it had a classy look, and nothing on the road right now looks anywhere close to classy. It looks cheap, it looks ridiculous, and yet people are paying high prices for this junk. And then they're driving around like Mario Andretti thinking, oh, look at me. Yeah, look at you, buddy. You're going straight down the greased pole. You won't even be able to drive that Buick Rendezvous when you're in the lake of fire now, will you? I have to tell myself that because the world is menacing, it's overwhelming, it's rude, it's in your face, and these people are going on the fumes of their ego. And I have to say, you're God's child. You don't love the world, and the world don't love you. Praise His name. If the world loves you and you feel comfortable in it, well, then maybe you're not walking with God. Like I said, a Christian may make a trip to the pig pen, but at some point, if he's truly born again, he cannot feel comfortable staying there, rolling around in the mud, and eventually the other piggies are going to look at him and go, okay, we had fun with you, but what are you doing in here? Can I be honest with you about something? I felt that at karaoke. I spent a lot of time in there. And I love the pretty women. But then I went in there one day and all of a sudden I was seized with... I felt really nervous. And I'm like, what is going on? And I felt it. You don't belong in here, Michael. You don't belong in here. This is the world. Oh, but I like dancing and singing. Of course you do. But this is not where you belong. And I still kept trying to go, but I felt more and more of that emptiness that said, all these Filipinas that are pretty and dancing and smiling, they're depressed under all that. Even God got through the Pacific in the midst of all my running around and having fun. And I said, Hong Kong really is a sinful place, isn't it? Then I'd meet girls at Saiwan Ho Baptist Church. Oh, Michael, will you stay with us all Sunday? And I did that one day. And it was nice. But unfortunately at that time I was like, why do I want to sit in church all day? I'll go dancing. Now I look back and go, boy, I wish I'd have spent every Sunday in church with those ladies talking about the Lord. I regret that. Here I had a church, a group of people that cared, the kind of women I should have been pursuing, that loved Jesus and cared enough about me to say, spend the day with us, have fellowship with us, there's plenty of food. What a fool I was. And I come back to America and the churches, you can't wait to get out of them because they're iceberg cold. And I had it there. And if I go back again, only by the grace of God. I don't want to go back to Videoke because you know what? It'll come back again. You don't belong here. Really what's happening to me more and more is you want to be in the house of God. And I don't believe the church is the house of God. Okay? It's a building. We're the house of God. We're the temple of the Holy Ghost. A lot of churches in America don't give us a lot of incentive to stay out of the world. Many churches push us right back into it. But no, I don't love the philosophies of this world. I don't like the philosophies of the U.S. government, the Democratic Party, and the liberal thinking and the godlessness of it all. I don't like the marketing and the advertising and the corporate cutthroat ways. That's all satanic. The false religions. I had a talk with a brother today that I love dearly about Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness, and I said there's only two threads that run. There's the scarlet thread of Christ's blood that runs from Genesis to Revelation, and then there's that Babylonian rope that runs from Genesis to Revelation. The very first thing that Eve was told, know ye not, you shall be as God, knowing good and evil. What you need to know for? You had fruit and food that you could just reach up and go pick. Talk about organic. No pesticides, no DDT, no smog, no pollution. And we think Hong Kong is cool. We have really become jaded and calloused and walked so far from the original ideal that we can't even tell it in ourselves anymore. I'd rather be in the garden, walking with tigers and elephants that don't smash, thrash, and chase and bite and devour you, when God's creation was at perfect peace. When God walked down and said, sorry, I don't want to cheapen God, but says, yo, Adam, what's up? What a concept! God says he'll never leave us nor forsake us, but we don't get the luxury of hearing. Sometimes it's hard to sense the presence of God. One, because we get in the way. You know what the saddest thing is in the garden is when Adam and Eve sinned and they hid, and God walks through the garden and he says, Adam, where are you? That's sad. I feel the sad music coming in that something bad has just happened. God loved Adam and Eve. God wanted fellowship. You want to do something that'll blow your mental circuitry, stop and think about God, who in eternity past was out there. No people, no earth. What was he doing? I asked my cousin that. What was God doing in eternity? I mean, you would think, look at us as people. Oh, I'm going to play video games. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm going to go cook dinner. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to run these errands. I'm going to go to work. We're always doing something. What was God doing? I have no idea. At some point, about 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, he spoke this into existence, this whole universe. Where was he then? What was he doing? And he created this world and gave us free choice, and we are pathetic, sinful, vile, foul-mouthed, lustful thoughts, hate, selfishness. And he sent his son to die for us so that he could restore, so that we could have access to him. And what do we spend our time doing in this earth? Loving the world. Oh, I love my new truck, love my video game, love my YouTube, love my this, love my this. Where's God? You know what? Do we know what the term being intimate with God is? No, we don't. Intimacy is often associated with sex. I know it has been for me. We're not talking about a sexual relationship with God at all. We're talking about intimacy with God. Can I tell you what this world system does to us Christians? I drive a bus. I got to focus on the road, focus on the kids. Just today, I had a situation happen. Kid took a trash bag, was holding it out the window, and I looked up and I motioned, pointing this way, bring that in the window, please. I didn't yell. I'm driving down the road and I suddenly see his fist go up, see it ball it up, and poof! Yep, there he goes. I stopped, put the four-ways on in the middle of 4 lanes of traffic on the right lane. I thought, I don't care if I stop the cars, I got a problem. Walked partway back. I said, come here, please. Me? Yes, you, sir. Bring your skateboard. Sit up in the front seat. I said, what'd you throw? I said, can I see your bus pass? So I get his first and last name. I wrote it down. Had it. Thank you. I said, why? Why'd you do it? I didn't do it, man. I said, well, then who did? You going to tell me? I'm not going to be a snitch. I said, then you're taking the fall. I'm teaching myself to be calm and maintain composure and tell myself, don't take this stuff personally. Don't get mad. Don't get mad at all. Guess what? This is having an effect, viewers. Kids love it when the driver's yelling and screaming. Today I had to tell the bus, they're all getting on, and normally junior high kids will talk over you and blah, 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 blah. I quietly walked down the aisle. Said, hey, guys, I said, while we're loading, I just got to tell you something real quick. It'll only take a minute of your time. They wouldn't quit talking. And I said, yeah, if I could have your attention, please, that'd be really great. It'll only take a minute of your time. It's kind of important, so you really want to listen up. Before, I'd say, hey, I need everybody to quiet. I need something. That didn't work years ago. I said, just take a minute of your time. I just got to tell you this. I said, I don't know who's writing on the seats, but it was on the girl side. And I said, I don't want to accuse anybody, but I said, I'm busy all day. I drive routes. And I said, I don't know if you've noticed, I take pride in my bus. I keep it clean, and I care about you guys, and I care about my bus. I said, could you please not ride on the seats and damages? I said, I don't want to, but if I have to, I'll pull the hard drive, I'll check the video, and I'll find out who did it. And I will get you kicked off the bus. I said, so please don't ride on the seats. Thanks for listening. It worked. I'm trying something totally unconventional for Pacific. Living the grace of God. You see, I've had a view of God peering over the balcony going, all my life, and I got that from my mother. My dad just exploded and yelled and cussed and screamed and slapped and hit and chased me. Oh, yeah. And I am having to discipline myself to say, what is God like? Him throwing the trash bag out the window, that's nothing against me. I started to realize, this is kid stuff. I would have done the same thing if I knew I could have gotten away with it. Shoot, I remember when I was on the track team, one of the biggest clowns on the track team, we were leaving Phoenix to go back to Prescott. It's a 100-mile drive. We're in the back of the bus. And one of the kids got in the coach box, opened it up, pulled a roll of gauze out, grabbed one end of it, let the roll go, and it went unrolled, and he held onto it out the back window of the bus. The driver didn't even see this. I'm thinking, and it was on the driver's side, but at the rear of this flat front end bus. And he's holding it. And we're in rush hour traffic, and there's all these cars behind us. They can see this. And then he lets go. And it wraps in a perfect U around a Cadillac's antenna. We're laughing. Oh, look at that. And this car's going down the Phoenix freeway with this thing stuck, and he can't get out to remove it. Big old streamer, 50 feet on either side. We're just going, ah. All I have to do is go, isn't this normal behavior? Getting mad, exploding, yelling. Just deal with the problem. Just say, I need you to move up front. Can I see your bus pass? I got to write that up, dude. It's totally unconventional. But guess what? It's teaching me something. When I handle things that way, it means I'm really in control. Not them. You yell and scream, the kids are going, ha, we got him. We are angering him. We are pushing his buttons. If they know that they're getting to you, they will keep it up and pour it on. I'm on the verge of something here, folks, and it's really encouraging to me. It is not my job to whip this bus into shape. It's just simply my job to do my job and treat them like people. Be nice, be polite. When he got off, I said, have a good evening, sir. Before, I'd be like, I'm not going to talk to him. He made me mad. He misbehaving. I don't do that anymore. That is having an effect on these kids. Wow. He singled out my problem. He didn't get all bent out of shape about it. He's all in control, and he focused on my problem in front of all the other kids, and I'm kind of looking like the stupid one. That's what I'm talking about. isolate the problem, deal with the problem in such a way that it gets them to really think about how stupid it was what they did. You get all uppity, they're going, I got him. Oh, he's getting mad. Junior high kids are ferocious. Let me tell you that. They will eat you up with an ego right now. The last thing you want to do is fuel their fires. And the way you pour a bucket of cold water on it is by being composed at all times and overriding your own personal insecurities. Saying, all right, kids, I see you guys tore up the bus and made a mess. Okay, we got to go back to assigned seating, and guess I'm going to have to pull the camera. We're going to have to start writing people up and get them kicked off. When they see you do that, all of a sudden things just kind of because you've just put it right back on them. Being a Christian means that I've got to start walking and acting in accordance with God's ways. And I've got a long, long way to go, but kids are finally teaching me something. Pacific is as insecure as all get out, but I'm finally learning to override it. Say, just be nice to these kids. Be professional. They all get off, all 50 of them. I say, you guys have a good night. Take care. Some of those kids are responding to that. One girl shook my hand and punched my fist, and, you know, that's cool. Then when they're doing stuff, I'll come up with a bunch of candy bars, say, you guys are treating me right. Looks like I owe you a favor. Here's a candy bar. What? Really? Boy, that takes the fight out of them. The bus driver went and spent his own money and bought us something, not a Tootsie Roll, not a sucker, but a candy bar. Twix, Milky Way, Butterfingers, Reese's Peanut Butter, whatever. That gets expensive, though. Gosh, I got what? 100, 150, almost 200 students now throughout the day, and I'm thinking, that's a lot of candy bars. We won't be doing that often. I'm learning something, though. I want to make a difference. Now back to my viewers in church. This lady I went walking with today, she said, I'm tired of the whole church thing. I'm tired of being guilted and this and that. She goes, I know God loves me, and I know God's not finished with me, and I just want to follow him and honor him. She grew up with a set of parents who were very well adjusted. She showed me a picture of her two sisters and her brother, and they're all the girls are very beautiful. She told me she showed me a picture of her sister with the dark hair, just striking. She goes, yeah, she was going out with a guy who got involved with the worship at his church. He dated her knowing that she doesn't go to church, but knew she's a Christian. And then, for whatever reason, he started hearing guilt-inducing sermons at his church, and then he sent her a text message, said, I'm breaking up with you, and quoted scripture, because you're forsaking the assembly of yourselves, not going to church. And she comes back to her sister, my friend, and says, why did he go out with me to begin with? He knew I didn't go. And you know, a lot of Christians do stuff like that. They'll date an unbeliever, then they'll go make love with that unbeliever, and then they'll go, you know, I'm not supposed to be with you because you're not a Christian. Okay, you really got intimate with me, and now you're dropping that bomb on me? I tell you what, some Christians can really be poop heads. And now the guy's stalking her, coming into her workplace and stuff and saying, can we be friends? My friend said, you know, I'm about ready to go in there because I know where he works. He works at one of the coffee shops, and she said, I'm about ready to go in there and say, leave my sister alone. You broke up with her, and now you want to play this game? Quit creeping on her. I like this lady. She's pretty smart. She's pretty effervescent and cool, and it made me think of my viewers, how many of them have said they're tired of going to church. I don't blame them. The reason Pacific keeps going is because I need an anchor in my life, and I know very well, viewers, what goes on in church, and I'm tired of it too. I would never sell you a snow job and say, well, church is great. Sometimes church is not great. Sometimes leadership is so far left of center it's not even funny. Sometimes church is just simply hearing dissemination of information into my brain, and then you look around at all the people that have been going there faithful, serving, and they don't change. They're comfortable, they're lame, they're socially retarded, they can't even say hi to somebody. And that's another thing. People that have been saved 40, 50 years, 30 years, they've been in the church, they've been raised in Christian homes, and they won't even say hi to somebody next to them in class. Boy, that sounds to me like they're still in the world. Because doesn't the world do that? Well, he looks different. He isn't just like me. I'm not going to talk to him. Christians are doing the same thing the world is doing. But Pacific does not love the world. As much fun as I had in Hong Kong, even God got through all that and said, Michael, are you where you're supposed to be? You danced and sang because you wanted the freedom of it all, but some of this music isn't glorifying me. These girls, they're hurting, they're sad, they work a hard life over here, and you're the closest thing they have to happiness. And you're not being a good example because you're running in your flesh right with them. It's not easy, folks. It's not easy to live the obedient life. I don't want to say to live the Christian life. That is something we need to change right there. When you get saved, you are a Christian. You don't need to live the Christian life. You are positionally a Christian. What we need to do is start using accurate terms so that we can get a hold of ourselves and actually begin to change. I'm not living in obedience as a Christian. That's what we need to say. So how do we get there? How do we stop loving the world? Well, Christians need to stop saying, well, the age of the earth doesn't really matter. That's loving the world. That's letting the world's dominating evolutionistic system say, well, I don't want to offend anybody. We need to show them Jesus. The only way you're going to show evolutionists Jesus is if you show them that the Bible does not support evolution and that evolution is not scientific. And if the earth is billions of years old, then we have a problem with the very first chapter of the Bible that says, in 6 days God created the earth. Oh, yes, it's important. Christians, stop playing footsie with the world and saying, this isn't important. Maybe it's not important to you, but it's important to God. And it's important to those that take God's word seriously. Don't tell me that day doesn't mean day, and don't tell me that days isn't important. You better believe it is. God took the time to tell us He created it in 6 days, and He even used that as a blueprint for working 6 days a week and resting on the seventh. What part of easy do people not understand? But we got to convolute. Well, with the Lord, a day is 1,000 years, 1,000 years a day. Okay, that's right. God worked for 6,000 years, and on 7,000 year He rested. The Jews would have picked up on that right away and said, well, we don't have to have Sunday or Sabbath. I mean, come on. Listen to what you're saying. You shoot yourself in the foot. Materialistic. When we talk about the whole SUV craze, I want people to start asking themselves, especially when they live in non-snowy climates, what is the necessity of a 4x4? Figure that one out. I grew up in Los Angeles. As a kid, it was cars and pickup trucks and commercial vehicles. Now there's Xteras and Escalades and all 4x4 vehicles on the LA freeways. Yeah, but some of them go to the mountains. All of them go to the mountains? And they need that? You know, I lived in Mammoth Lakes, and the highways are always plowed. Very ever, if ever, do you need a 4x4 on the highways going into Mammoth. Oh, you'll need them on the side streets, but it snows so much in Mammoth, you get 4 feet of snow, your Xterra ain't going anywhere. You don't have enough clearance. I don't want to major on something. People have a right to spend their money as they please. They got to submit to God on that, not to Pacific's view. But I look at how much money is wasted on this foolishness and all the stuff surrounding that, and it is ridiculous. I don't see people having a passion for God. I don't see the church having a passion for God. I see people doing religious, rote ritualism. We go to church, we sing hymns, we tithe, but we don't say hi to people that are different than us. We don't change. We wear the same dowdy clothes and live the same boring lives, and we talk about our SUV purchase, and we talk about our house remodeling, and people come into church and go, wait a minute, I thought this was about Jesus Christ. There's a lot of Christians that sit in churches that the pastor and all them can look at and say that, they're pretty good and moral. They're not pleasing to God in the way they're carrying out their walk. They're caught up in the world. When I go to the break room, I know there are people that don't like me. I know that there is darkness in them, and they don't like me just by the sheer fact that the light of Jesus Christ is living inside of me. I'm not bragging on myself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I live this perfect Christian example, but they know, the devil in them knows the Jesus in me, and the devil knows that in spite of my sins and faults, that there's an underlying foundation and conviction in me that when push comes to shove, I will stand up like a lion and be bold. Satan doesn't like that. In the Sunday school class, before church service yesterday, we sat in a different class. Our regular teacher was not feeling good, so he was absent. Gave me a chance to hear an older senior citizen man, and he was very good. And he says, when you walk with your feet, friction is created. The faster you walk, the more friction. He said, if you're in Christ, you've just created friction. And if you start walking for him and doing for him what you're supposed to do, you're going to create friction. And I liked the analogy. If you, my viewers, as Christians, are not having any troubles with the people around you and the world around you, you're not walking with Jesus. You may be a Christian, but you must have just watered yourself down so much. The reason this lady likes me is because she has the light of Christ on. She's not coming on to me. There's been no flirting. There's been none of that. She's balanced. She's solid in her commitment. And I got to be honest, that really has been a testimony to me. And I told her about some of the girl stuff that goes on in America and the rudeness and how nasty some Christian women are. And she goes, oh, I know. She goes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I believe this woman's been a godsend because it made me realize something. A lot of the people that I work with are so dark and so down that it's been very discouraging. And since she started working there, it's like, gosh, I finally have somebody intelligent, beautiful, who isn't stuck up, who is in Christ, who doesn't wear it on her sleeve, who isn't Sally self-righteous, who's very honest about the hardship of marriage and her life, but yet she loves her husband. And she said something that shocked me today. I'm like, wait a minute. She goes, it's not about compatibility, Michael. It's about a decision to love somebody. I'm like, really? But then I thought about the woman I was married to for 14 years. I couldn't. So I disagree on that note. I believe that we do have to have compatibility. The old adage, opposites attract, that is few and far between. I think one of the biggest reasons a lot of people get divorced is they don't have compatibility. You get a woman that's passionate and a man who's dead, it's going to be a tough marriage. You get a man who's passionate and a woman who's dead. But I understand what she's saying. It's worked for her. And I respect that. It's refreshing to be around somebody that made me realize these are the kind of people you used to hang out with in high school. Do you remember? These are the kind of people you need to be finding now. And I said to her, I said, you've encouraged me because you're so well adjusted. And I need to find more of those people to hang out with because I'm not finding it in here. She smiled. She goes, when you find that group of people, let me know because I'd like to find them too. I said, are you serious? She goes, I told you I don't have a lot of friends. She goes, when you said the world's getting worse, she goes, I see it. She goes, I think people are really messed up. So I'm not off base in what I'm saying on YouTube, folks. We are heading, Pacific means to say this, we are on a collision course towards the holy. The world is. Not the church. The world is. The other thing that tells me the return of Christ is very soon is the fact that people are leaving the church in the droves because they're tired of all the BS. They're tired of all the phony, fakey plasticness. The church in America is coming apart at the seams. Oh, sure, it's growing, and you got mega churches and rock bands for Jesus and entertainment for Jesus and seeker sensitive and people making millions of dollars on Christian books. But we're not seeing real discipling at all. We're seeing shallow Christianity, cultural Christianity, and that alone tells me that the return of Christ must be very imminent. The church needs to be the place where people can go and seek refuge from a crazy, hateful, dark, God-denying world. That's pretty sad when I can go to church on Sunday and go, gosh, I feel better driving my bus with a bunch of kids on here than I do being in here. That's not right. You know, I wanted to go back to Hong Kong this summer, but can I tell you something? I have no legitimate reason to go. Not according to this. I want to share something with my viewers. It's happening to me little by little. I love Hong Kong. But Hong Kong, if I want to grow closer to God, Hong Kong is not the answer. The only way I should go to Hong Kong or Asia or anywhere is because God leads and He has a specific purpose for me. Well, you can go on vacation. And what? I'm alone. There's pretty women. What do you think's going to happen? Sin. It is hard to grow in holiness. And it is hard. It's duly harder in America because people aren't very nice, even Christians today. Being around this young lady at work who started has been refreshing. The first time I'm around somebody who I feel like going upwards instead of downwards. We need to talk about this issue, why we're not going to church. And I would encourage everybody that goes to church and is having this, you need to go to your pastor and say, you know, I just need to share with you what I'm feeling, whether you agree with me or not. I don't even care, but you need to know my perspective. I'm glad I said it to a woman at church on Sunday. Times are going to get rougher. For crying out loud, an entire jetliner has, for all intents and purposes, disappeared and nobody can find it. The CIA, the Navy, Air Force, 10 nations involved in the search. They can't find this jetliner, whether it's hidden or blown to pieces. I'd say that's pretty significant. We talk about feminism and all the stuff that's going on in America. It is getting worse and worse and worse. Fox News is still talking about the mess of Obamacare. Ego is driving just about everything today. And people are not stopping and hearing the still small voice of God. People are not stopping and thinking about the ramifications of anything that they're passing, doing, voting on. In Colorado, we just said, okay, everybody can smoke pot now, if you're of age. And now the governments and the entities that be say, hey, we can make tax money on this. It's going to get worse. The Bible says the Antichrist will change the times and the seasons. The Antichrist is going to be so arrogant, he's just going to grab things that have always been in place and say, we're changing this now because I say so. The world system is at enmity with God. The lust of the eyes, the pride of life. Look at Americans and what they're running after. Debt and stuff. Debt and stuff. Vanity, superficialness, shallowness. Look at the fruit of what our television is producing. Look at the fruit of our media. Look at the fruit of what men and women are pursuing in this country. And look at how deeply entrenched that's become in the church of Christ. That tells me that things are wrapping up. When? You might say, when do you think this is going to happen? I don't know, and I'm not even going to speculate. I don't know. No man knows the day or the hour. But viewers, let me say something. If you want to live for Jesus Christ, the world is not going to love you. And we all need to stop saying, I'm not good looking enough, I don't earn enough money. Forget all that. That's all the world system. The dating system that the women today in Christian circles and non-Christian circles is totally worldly. It does not measure up to this at all. Jesus Christ reached people that didn't measure up to his interview at all. We failed all his tests. His commandments, all of them were violated. Today's women stand up and say, you must meet 150 requirements or you don't get a date. Where's Jesus Christ in that? Oh, you're saying I don't have a right to a standard? Yeah, well, wait a minute. Whose standard is it? Is it yours or is it God's? I didn't so go marry a convicted felon. But come on now. What if God took somebody who had been around the block and blew it over and over again? What if he could use that person to show you love you never thought you could have? What if that man treated you like a queen? But you'll never know. But aside from that, the dating methods that guys and girls are using today are not biblical at all. I think it's okay to be attracted to looks. I'm going to make no bones about it. But what are we really looking for in a woman? How many of us guys have said, I want a woman who loves the Lord, who wants to study the Bible with me and talk about God and see if God wants us to be missions together or do something for him together? How many Christian women are pursuing their careers and their SUVs and their $5 coffee? I don't want more of that. No thanks. I want a woman that's committed to me and to God, not to all that junk. That's just baggage and debt and no thanks. How many of us guys are asking for a godly woman? And what is a godly man and a godly woman? One who has Christ Jesus in them. But how are they walking? Are they walking in debt? Are they walking in the ways of this world? Then stay away from them. But we have another problem that's developed on the American landscape with Christians, is that now Christians have gotten so picky that some women and some men don't realize that, that person that might have done this mistake or whatever, you might actually be able to have such an effect on their life that you could cause them to stop it. That they might fall in love with you so much that they put that away because they have a reason to do so. One of the things I've learned that Christianity does not major on is that when you tell everybody to quit doing something, you can't create a vacuum. I remember years ago when I couldn't get out of the chat rooms, I called my uncle and I said, I'm addicted to this because I'm alone. And he says, Michael, the only way you're going to get out of the chat room is if you replace it with something good so that you don't go back into it. Wow, my uncle said that. Do you know that that's true? The Bible even says, put on, put off, clap on, clap off. But too many preachers don't do that. You need to stop this, you need to stop that. Okay, why am I doing this? Let's get to why I'm doing this. And if you're going to cast this out, what are you going to do to replace it? Because if you don't have something to replace it that is good and solid and fulfilling, you're going to run right back to that toilet bowl and drink out of it again. Folks, that's the truth. Hey, I'm running out of time. Don't love the world. Love people for God. Love God, but don't love the world. This is Pacific, signing off. Bye-bye.